Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm Dorothy Wong. I'm a marriage counselor, and here I am with my best friend, Dr. Rosann Kao. Rosann, let's recap what we said last week, all right?
Yeah. Last week we were talking about the decision or decisions of does your child go to a local school or an international school? Who's involved? Complicated decision. It's not one off. You got to talk to many people, do a little research. So it's a set of decisions.
Yeah.
Set of decisions. That's what we talked about.
Yes.
Set of decisions.
And I'm a very practical person. And I was thinking, I understand why the parents want to transfer their kids to international school. But the cost of going to international school is really high. And even though Chinese always believe the return on investment is very high, because if we put money into our children's education, that is something good for the kids for the rest of their life.
Yes.
If you just give them money, the money can gone, you know. So today we are going to talk about the costs involved in putting your kids into international school. So tell me about it.
Dorothy and my friends, you're all looking like there's lots of, it is expensive. There's no way to say this is a cheap education.
Yes.
International schools, private schools, they all have fairly high tuition, very high tuition compared to the local schools. So it's true, it's a lot of money. But in addition to the yearly tuition fees, we have to look, you must look long term. It's not only this year and next year, but how old is your child? 8? That means 10 years of tuition fees. But now wait a minute, because many international schools also want you to pay some money into a development fund. So they ask all new families joining our school must pay X amount of money, and X sometimes means several thousand US dollars. Just for the sake of being able to apply.
Debenture, right?
Debentures.
Oh.
Debentures, development funds, whatever. Now, some of, you got to do the research on this. Some of the schools will actually give some money back at the end of when your child finishes.
Okay.
Some, not all. The tuition every year is going to go up. You can be sure of that. There's no way the tuition's going down. So practicalities, my friend Dorothy wanted to know. So you must think, oh, okay, its tuition is now and it's going to go up next year and up and up. Well, there's more. How is your child going to get to and from school? So there's transport costs. And there will be field trips. That's extra.
Yes.
And then there's a yearly camp where you have to pay so much money for that. Or a ski trip to Japan. Everyone in the class is going. Well, maybe not the 8-year-olds, but the 11 and 12-year-olds. Yes. Or a camping trip. Or we're going to do a service project in Cambodia. But that all costs money. So when you're thinking about this school, you must anticipate, what do I have to start with? What money to start with? And this year's tuition, and next year's tuition, and the next year's tuition. And then what else are we adding on? Oh, you say not much, new school uniforms. Okay, school to play softball, to play basketball, to hockey team. It's not very much. No, but then there's going to be transport to go to the hockey games, to go to the wrestling games. Everything costs money. So we must, who's ever involved in making this decision, parents, grandparents, one parent, we don't know, whatever is your family's decision-making group, think about the immediate costs, the annual costs, the long-term costs. Yes, it's complicated.
And if there are more than one kid, that will be quite complicated too, right?
Yes.
Gosh, and the whole family might need to, I'm not saying sacrifice, but they need to work it out before they just think, oh, I want my kids to go to this international school. They need to have a budget. They need to not just consider 1 year. As you said, depending on the kid's age, it might be a 10 years project. And apart from this kind of cost, what other course that you think most parents overlook and don't know is very important to?
Well, every parent's different. Every family is different. But if you're mostly in a Chinese language setting and your child goes to an English-speaking school, then over the school year, and certainly by the second year, perhaps the third year, that child's going to get close friends. So then the families get together, so they're going to go watch a team play softball, or they're going to go to the skating rink together. And if both parents, or the one parent going, I don't know what's going on in each, if you can mix easily with other English-speaking parents, then that's fine. But if you feel your language is holding you back, there's a social cost for parents to become part of an English-speaking community at least part of the time. Now, some of you are moving, some people are ready to do this and others are not.
Yes.
I can see it from your body. There are also some families where, we don't know why, but let's say the father went to university overseas. His English language skills are pretty good, and he wants that child to learn English. But the mother, who's been here in Hong Kong, or maybe the mother's from somewhere else in China, she's very proud of her Chinese language heritage. So the mother and the father agree. They love each other. They wanted this family. But what's going to happen as their child continues in an English-speaking school, there will be friends from his class, from her class, and the friends have family. How much do you want to mix with English-speaking families?
That's very important, because if you want to get your kids into international school, you must also remember the whole culture is different. The family will usually get involved, right? If there's a soccer game, right? The parents will be there, even maybe the father is the coach or the referee or play part in some sort of sports thing, right? And if the parents are not comfortable to be in that environment or in that context, actually it can create some tension. I never think about it, but yeah.
But it does. But now remember, you got to look at, again, your child. Your 8 or 9-year-old may think, okay, this is how my parents are, and I love them and they love me, but nobody's coming to my swimming meet because I go by myself. My mother will come, but she doesn't want to talk to anybody. I know my mother's not comfortable there. So it depends on the child and it depends on the family. But there is a social cost involved. There is a social cost involved.
You know, Rosann, I really appreciate you brought that up. I seldom hear parents talk about this when they think of transferring or applying for an international school. It's only after their kids got into the international school and have some sort of problems because of that.
Yes.
And then they will all of a sudden don't know how to handle it, right?
Well, they talk to their friends, but if all of your friends have children who are in Chinese-speaking schools, then you're the one that's different. That might be okay. You might be all right like that. But it does create a distance, if not a difference. It's a separation.
Good.
There's another social cost involved. When parents begin to figure out, or let's say one parent, this is how much right now, this is how much we have to pay in order to apply, and this is going to go on for, let's say, 3 years. There's just not enough money. So then one parent may say, maybe I better go back to work. So if we have a younger child who's going to take care of the younger child, because if I go back to work, let's just for example, the father's been working on, the mother says, if I go back to work, we still have a 2-year-old at home, so maybe my mother will help, or maybe we get, so she's going, but emotionally, she didn't want to go back to work so soon. She wanted to go back to work, but not so soon. Or she may say, okay, this means I have to go back to work. I'm really happy to be doing that. But then there's two big changes in the household. The child is switching schools and the mother is spending more time not at home. Do we want that or we don't want that? Or it could be the father says, I think I better take that second job.
Yeah.
And a lot of Hong Kong families, I do this during the day, but then I'm also doing some selling on the web. I'm doing other things. So again, the social cost is not only the cost of the child going to school, but what dynamics are happening inside the family. And that's what we need to be aware of. It might not be bad, but you need to be aware.
Yeah. You know what, while you're watching this video, you might notice we are bringing up some issues that you never consider. But as a counselor, we know these kind of things are going to pop up and haunt you. So,
Yeah.
well, do consider what Rosann reminds you. But still, after our 2 video, maybe the parents still want to get their kids into international school. Next time, we are going to move to another topic, which may be something you look forward to. That is, when will be the best time to apply for the international school? Or if you are thinking of transferring your kids, when is the optimum? Is it optimal time?
Optimal time.
Yeah.
See, Dorothy is very practical. We talk about long-term socialists. Dorothy is very practical. Okay, next time, applications. Yes.